Good afternoon. Today is Wednesday, February 3rd, and I am so honored to be rolling to Washington, D.C. today to have a conversation with oh my gosh, she's so famous,
No.
Dr. Donna Walton, who is the founder and CEO of Divas with Disabilities. She has so many titles, I couldn't decide which one to use. She has so much credentialing, I didn't know which way to go. But it's just something about when you put two passionate divas in the same space together. Woo! It's like an implosion and an explosion. So I am just excited to have Dr. Donna Walton on today. Put your hands together, everybody. Woo.
Woo-hoo.
You hear other people? Yes, you hear other people. Yes, they are. They are clapping. They are excited that you are here. I'm excited. Um, I like my little Zoom room green. I think it's like anything, there's always the meeting, but then there's the meeting before the meeting and the meeting after the meeting. And I think we had a really good meeting in the green room. So I would like to bring everyone into that conversation. What do you think about that? Yes?
I think, are you speaking with me? Are you speaking to me?
Yes. I said,
Okay.
would you like to?
Absolutely. I think it's a wonderful place to start. I
So,
do.
as we were in the Zoom room of green, we talked about this being Black History Month. And, sometimes those who have been with me on the show in the green room know that I'm still getting ready. Y'all seen me put lashes on and peel them off the side of my face and get glue out of my eye. And, as we're rushing and talking about things before we get ready to go live. And so today, it wasn't me that wasn't ready.
What
Miss
happened?
Donna came hopping out on one leg. And
Literally.
I said, girl, I love you. Go on and jam with that one leg. And because there's this beautiful picture of you standing next to a motorcycle with your leg thrown over your shoulder, and that pant leg is just kind of blowing in the wind. And I said, oh my God, she is absolutely gorgeous. What were you thinking about in that moment when you took that picture?
That was a phenomenal day, first and foremost. I'll sort of set the stage. It was actually a photo shoot. And the photo shoot, it was for an article that I was writing on towards reaching normalcy. What is normalcy? What does a leg have to do with it? You know, and so the photographer and I, we decided we wanted to do something different. Okay, I mean, to sit in the typical pose. Here she is. No, I wasn't ready for that. So he said, well, let's do something creative. And he said, you want to ride a motorcycle? I said, you know what? I could do that. I could ride that motorcycle. So he set the stage. He actually, placed the motorcycle. And then I decided, if I were going to approach this motorcycle, how would I want to approach it? And what would it really mean for me? So it was like, okay, toss caution to the wind, take the leg, let's go. And that's really how that shot became that photograph. It was about, okay, I got one leg, but I got this prosthetic leg that's in the way. So it's got to move out the way. And I just decided, let's go. It goes with me, it's part of me, but it didn't need to be for that motorcycle, right? It's like, if I'm going to do this, and I think it was also symbolic to say, if you want to do something, sometimes you got to shift the way you're going to do it, but you just get it done.
And I love it.
Yeah, you got
I
to
love
get it
it.
done.
That is one of the things that I have appreciated about my disability community. I think that was the first thing I learned because I did not become physically disabled until age 47. And so here it was, I knew how to do what I knew how to do my way, the regular way, everybody's way.
Right.
And here it is now, I need to figure out something different. What is it that I do now? So And the way I have to do it as a person who uses a wheelchair may be different than the way someone else who uses a wheelchair
That's right.
has to do it. And so I just appreciated how persons in my community were so ready to offer their way. Girl, this is how I do it. But I mean, you figure it out, whatever is comfortable for you. But this is how I do it. If I could
How I do it.
just extend that. And so I appreciated that. And if you will, in the able-bodied community, I've never experienced that in that way. We all live life. We all feel that we have the answer to life and we just do it. But never do we come alongside and say, girl, I'm going to come alongside you. And however I can assist you and whatever that looks like, let's do it. Let me share some of the things that I've done, even when it comes to parenting and being a single parent or being married, or, how do I juggle my marriage, my children, and my job. And if I have passions, we don't readily come alongside of each other and offer that type of assistance. So you didn't have a long span to go from the able-bodied world to the disabled-bodied world, in the respect that you were 18 years old.
Yeah, I was 18 years old, and my world was defined at that moment. When I decided that I was going to live, that was the first piece.
Mm-hmm.
So when I declared life,
Yes.
then it was all about now life was going to be on my terms, because the leg's not growing and it's not coming back, right?
Right.
So I had to let go. I really did have to let go. And in a very early stage, when you're still going through this sort of developmental growth of even defining your identity. I mean, it was challenging. But of course, my faith, I mean, I'm not going to say that it was all me at all. I mean, my faith is incredible. And it took it set sort of had a seat in my world, and I was able to now define life on my terms. And so the leg, okay, what's the leg got to do with it? That became my motto, because whatever I needed to do, whatever I needed to move to get accomplished, if the leg was going to be in my way, then the leg's going to have to move out of my way. I mean, it just could not be my barrier. It could not be.
The wonderful outfit that is on our promo. Oh, so the story behind that, my grandmother cleaned house. She had a third grade education, and she cleaned houses for a living. And one of her employers gave her that stove as a gift. She, for being good at what she does. And I don't know how she snuck that to me. But she snuck that to me, and I held on to it. Oh my gosh, I know, a good 15, 20 years, and couldn't decide what I needed to do with it. And so when life changed for me, I also had to change the way I dressed so that I could try to be somewhat independent. So hence, we have these wonderful clothes that I've had made, and that accommodate who I am now. And so when I looked at that piece, I said, now I want to keep what it meant, but I need to make it my own. And I just started sketching out what I wanted. Found this awesome young lady, had on this cute outfit. I said, where did you get that from? She said, oh, girl, I made it. I said, well, go on and make it. And she was hopping around on one leg. And I said, oh my gosh. Because at first when I saw her, I said, oh my gosh, she's so cute. She had on a mini skirt. Talk about who am I going to be? She had on this mini skirt with that one little leg and her hand on her hip, and she was just talking to somebody. And I said, that is such a cute outfit. I said, I want to know, who made it? And she said she did. And she says, I own my own shop. And I showed her my drawing, and she's like, wow, well, let me see what I can do and work with this. And we found that fabric, and she made it do what it do. She made it do what it do. So she was my first person that I got to sit down and talk to that was an amputee. And the question, some of the things that she said to me, I won't share them all, but I will ask a question of you. Did you try to hide your disability? Because you really have a choice when you wake up in the morning. Do I want to, number one, be disabled? And number two, do I want to look disabled? You have a
Well,
choice.
that's a good question. Okay, so that's a good question. When I first got the diagnosis that I was going to have to lose my leg,
Mm-hmm.
my whole identity got turned upside down. And so again, I was 18 years old.
Yes.
So in terms of hiding it's like when you have an amputated limb, you now have a choice to wear a prosthesis or
Mm-hmm.
not to wear a prosthesis. Not every amputee chooses to wear a prosthetic limb.
Okay.
I chose to wear a prosthetic limb because what I wanted to perceive to be as normal as possible. I wasn't ready for the stares and the losing my self-esteem, losing all the things I thought were about uh, being a woman, having a shapely leg for a man to admire, right? Um, my body image my identity was extremely wrapped around a leg. So initially, I would say I did want to hide it in that I wanted to show up as normal. Again, there's that word as possible, in that I didn't let go any of my activities that I enjoyed doing. I went to parties. I went to parties wearing my crutches at the time. In my early years, I started off wearing crutches. And, again, can't hide that. However, you can't hide the crutches. But again, because when you see me wear the prosthesis, you don't know I'm an amputee. You see a leg, you know something's going on, but you don't think she's an amputee.
Right.
So I did hide and stay behind, the kind of identity of being an amputee person, by going into the spaces that I always went to. I kept going to parties. I kept stepping. I did
Mm-hmm.
not try to do, I didn't try to stay home, if you will, so that people won't see me. And I guess that kind of leads to a story, though.
Before you tell that story, I do want to just touch on the base of wanting to be normal and fitting in, because before the show came on, um, we were talking about those who could pass. So this being Black History Month, if you have the ability to pass and get things that you need and be normal, is that okay? Just in the same way for you, I'm young, I'm getting ready to go to college, I'm graduating high school, getting ready to, go to college. I want to be popping and clicking with everybody else. And if I can put something on that doesn't make me stand out, and if I have to take a crutch to give me a little bit, we all get sprained ankles. I mean, there's a way to explain it away. So part one of the question is, if you can pass, should you? And then, so that you can get in the door for your personal peace. Or do I say, I'm not going to do this because I want to make a change for the community?
That's a very loaded question.
Very much so.
Because first of all, it's an individualized decision as to how you want to show up in this world, and and how you develop your self-esteem and confidence. It's very, I was very fortunate. I was very blessed. I
Mhm.
was extremely favored that when I lost my limb, I showed up as the same person as I was before my limb was lost. I was motivated. I was gregarious. You know, I had a world vision of that I was going to be the baddest sister on this planet before my leg was lost. So,
Yes.
you know, so I think it's just, it really is an individual thing. So I think you rock what you got. If you have that, you know, that I guess that motivation, that belief, that confidence to show up in the world and pass, if you will, as a non-disabled person, so be it. I know there's no judgment. I think people go where they can go when they're ready. I'm ready. When I was ready to, it took me 10 years to not wear a leg. It took me 10 years before I put on a dress, I should say.
Mhm.
10 years before I went to a beach and took off my leg. So, you know, yeah, it's an individualized journey, and you do what you have to do to survive, to
Yeah.
thrive, whichever way you're on the continuum. You know, I really want to say that the whole term of coming to terms, if you will, with disability,
Mhm.
that's not an overnight thing.
No, it's not.
That,
Oh,
I mean, that's not like saying, oh wow, you know, oh wow, you know, I'm an amputee. Let's go for this. I am disabled. You know, I want all the titles. I want all of it. No, you know, come on. Let's be really honest with ourselves. And there's also too, Dr. K. I'm gonna call you Dr. K.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah, there are two things. I learned on this journey that our lived the way we cope with disability comes on two continuums: those who were born with a disability and those who acquired a disability.
Mhm.
You're going to show up in the world differently. You're going to respond
True.
to the world differently.
Yes.
So it's really hard. Like I said, it's individualized and it's based on your own walk, your personal walk with disability, if you want to use it. And I talked to you about this whole term
That's the
disability
conversation. Yes.
starting to shake me a little bit because again, we, why do we have to conform to such an identity? I mean, there's pride in disability. I'm not taking away. I'm not taking away that. I mean, I know there's a lot of work that's been around disability, you know, activism and policy and inclusion. Yes, absolutely. But I think if we are going to, if a Black woman is going to rock what she has and she happens to live with this so-called disability, then she's going to find as many resources and as many ways that she can do that, and so and be prideful and it be bold, be a badass, if you will, because that's how we have to show up in the world. We really don't have the luxury of sitting back smoking cigarettes and saying, okay, like, I'm not going to do anything about this, or you know, we just don't have the luxury. We got to
Well,
show up. We have, excuse me, I apologize. You know, we have to show up, and if that showing up is not authentic, or you know, you're an imposter, you're not disabled, you look like you're disabled, all that looks like, I think that that's again an individualized approach that people have to take, and then we just have to hope that the people surrounding us will give us space enough to do that
right.
and
The
not
time,
do this.
mhm. The time is now 4:21. We want to say thank you for tuning in to Rolling with the Doc. And my guest is Dr. Donna Walton, all the way, and she's in Washington, D.C. I'm so loving this virtual traveling that I'm doing. And we are so glad to have you on today. I want to say thank you to the Deaf and Hard of Hearing for being with us, for translating. And we greatly appreciate you. And to 100 Shades of Disabilities that sponsors this show. So for that, I am truly grateful. I'm truly enjoying the conversation on today with Dr. Donna Walton, who is an amputee, has been since the age of 18. And so if you're just now joining the discussion, The question is, if we have an opportunity based on our color and or our ability to do or not to do we have an obligation to that particular community, whether it is to your race community, whether it is to your ability community, to live your authentic self and show who you really are. I believe that power is what power does. And if you have the ability to make a change, and if that means, you show your ability, or not to show the ability, or show your color or not to show your color, that you should do that. I do believe that we should all wake up every day and not necessarily be so selfish and think about, us four and no more, or just what's in my little circle. But if you have the ability to create a systemic change by who you are and how you show up in the world, I believe that you are obligated, especially since we are in Black History Month. And as we are all remembering those who have made changes in our history so that we are able to vote, we are able to live where we want to live, we are able to have jobs that we want to have jobs. We can go to the bank and take out loans, or have savings accounts, investment accounts, that somebody decided when they woke up that they were going to not hide or feel shameful about who they were. And they made the decision that I'm going to change my life and the life of others. And so I love, Dr. Walton, how you have taken us on this journey. And it started very young for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that takes great strength and great courage. You talked about your faith, and here everybody knows that Dr. Kimberly Yvonne Barrington loves Jesus down in her sanctified soul. There's no questions, qualms about it. And since I pay the bills around here, I can say that on my show. I love Jesus. I believe in Jesus. If you do not, I still love you. I still like you. But that's who I depend on. And that's where I draw all of my strength, and all that I do is from my faith. And as you can see, all these books behind me, they are real. I have read them, and you have to in order to receive an earned doctoral degree. And so, what do you think, Dr. Walton, is our responsibility? I know that you talked about people can show up how they want to. I agree. But do you think that we each should take a personal responsibility for making a change within our sphere of influence?
If you can, sure, absolutely. But I think it may look differently. It doesn't always have to show up in the way that we think it should show up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, activism can look differently in different settings.
Give me an example.
If a person, for example, I don't walk around with posters. I didn't participate in the Black Lives Movement. I didn't do anything, but I do writing. I do my journaling. I work with other young women and girls. You do what you can in the space that you can, have the confidence to do that. And you want to be authentic about what you do. I'm not a perfunctory person. I don't do something because someone else is doing it. I'm just going to do this because everyone else is doing it. I think you really do. If you want to come on the journey and support, a cause, or support the fact that, that we have fought for years for civil rights, still fighting, and fighting the sort of systems, if you will, systemic races and all the isms, I think you should do that. But you should not be forced to do it in the way that others are doing it. You should find your comfort zone and advocate. And you're absolutely right. Do something. I always say, rock what you got. That's my motto. Rock what you got. Because not everyone is going to show up with a doctorate degree. I mean, not everyone's going to show up. I mean, with financial literacy.
Mm-hmm.
There's just many variables to one doing the work. And I think that they should just be allowed to do it in the way they want. And I think we have here's where I think the responsibility lies. And that is, I can believe that I can make the journey a little less bumpy because I've been down that road. I
Okay.
think that's my responsibility. And that's why the Divas with Disabilities, organization exists. Because I do want it to have a model of self-sufficiency and empowerment,
Mhm.
to show that because your life experience may dictate that be labeled, if you will, as a disabled individual, that should not be the trajectory of your life outcome. And we have to be those of us out, I call us the elders, the seniors.
Yes.
We have to be the ones to provide that path, to light the path. We have to do that. And that's where I think we have the responsibility and the obligation. I could not possibly let God, Jesus, as you know, save my life and not be able to testify about that.
I
And see,
felt that now. Girl,
that's what
I felt
that's
the
what I think.
thunder.
Yeah, and see, that's what I'm not. That's not going to happen.
Hmm.
One of the things that we did not talk about, or we haven't had a chance to explore, is that I was given a 15% chance of survival at 18 because I had a cancer that was just going to take me out. It thought, but fate had other plans. And so I knew at that moment when I was given life that I had an obligation at this point to talk about it.
Right. So I like that piece of feeling the obligation, which is different because your obligation is because my life was saved. If I can save someone else's life, then I will, no matter what that looks like, and it may look differently
Yes,
for me than it does for you,
that is correct.
which is different than because I'm Black or because I'm disabled, I'm responsible for the whole community on both ends and let me do everything I can to fix it and make it better. Because there is definitely a difference.
There is definitely a difference. I agree with you.
So I do appreciate that. Wow, I can't believe it's 4:30 already. Hmm.
What does that mean? What does that mean? Does
I
that mean does that mean like I gotta go? I gotta go. You
know.
know, you
It's
know,
4:30 already. But one of the things that I really wanted to touch on that we talked about the other day was, and it's in this same vein, is if we can change people's perceptions, their thought patterns, we call it systemic ableism or systemic racism or systemic sexism, them isms. What obligation do we have
oh, that's
when
exhausting.
when we are authored a platform? And I'll give you, for me, I was in front of more than 1,200 people across the United States. I know we were in a minimum of 10 states that it went through. There were maybe 300 people that were sitting in the room, another 1,000 people that were tuning in, and they all were upper management and owners
Mm-hmm.
saying, we want to make sure that we're hiring persons with disabilities. So, of course, they had their human resources, persons there. And on the panel, we had, it was one, two, three, four, five, six of us on the panel. I'm the only person with a visible disability. Three people on the panel had disabilities that were imperceivable. Everyone likes to use the word invisible, but I don't like that word because of the connotation that it has, that if it's invisible, it doesn't exist. And those of you who have fibromyalgia or you suffer from
It's
depression,
real.
anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
it's real. And you don't want anybody to tell you, well, that's invisible. No, it's not. When you can't function, you can't move, you don't want anyone to tell you that it is invisible. So I like imperceivable because initially with the eye, I can't perceive that something may be wrong with you. And that has nothing to do with a disability. I may not know that you're sad today. Because you sure look real fine with that red lipstick on, girl. Got your hair all slicked back. Got the boss with diamonds, you know.
Oh, you can see that. Can you
Oh,
see that?
I caught it all. You know, got the jewelry on. So I may not be able to perceive based on how you look that Donna is having a bad day today. Okay. So I really want to make sure that our listening audience understands that. You know, I may not be able to perceive that there may be something that's going on. And so I like the word imperceptible. And so they sat there trying to teach 1,200 people about why they should hire persons with disabilities and how they can fit into the workplace, what changes may be needed, and yet they were not going to disclose. They did not disclose that they had a disability. And so in that space, what is the responsibility? Because you have the ability to come into the room the same way.
That is such an exhausting, we talked about this. It is such an exhausting uh, sort of place to be, to always be convincing folk that I am worthy to be hired and to be included in your space. I'm going through this sort of, I told you, this existential crisis. I really do.
All do.
I do. I really keep saying that because
yes,
I'm so exhausted trying to talk about the capabilities and abilities of persons with disabilities. It's just exhausting. I mean, the bottom line is we have to get beyond the lookisms, all the isms. We have to get beyond that. And I know it's so trite to say, you know, or cliche, get over it, get by it, get through it. But the reality is that no matter how many times I show up in that space on your panels and talk about the power and the diversity of persons with disabilities and what we bring to the table, and you're leaving money on the table if you don't hire us, all the conversations that center around this. At the end of the day, if your attitude is not transformed about people who are different, period, it doesn't even matter.
Not at all.
It doesn't matter because then again, you're in the space, and so what? Now I'm in, okay, so you hire me, I'm in your job, but you never promote me. You don't invite me out to your luncheons. You know, you don't include me in anything. You know, I just don't think we're getting very far with always trying to have these conversations. And I think sometimes pleading, you know, to hire us. We've been on this road, we've been on this a long time. We've been on this journey a very long time. Just look at the data about how many persons are in the workplace. It doesn't take much. How many people are in, you know, in Hollywood? I mean, you know, film, advertising. Just look at the numbers. They speak for themselves. So what is it? What is it? We have powerful people with disabilities, if you will. Visible and imperceptible, right?
Absolutely.
So I mean, and what is it that what's left to do? I'm exhausted. I'm still going through a change of thinking about what will it take, and what is my responsibility. You know, will I continue to show up on panels, you know, and speak about, you know, the importance of including people with disabilities? You know, what's my role? And that's I have to think about what my role is. Because again, I only think about what is it that I need to do? What can I do? I don't want to sit on the sidelines and telling people what they should be doing if I'm not doing the work myself.
Right.
So I don't know if I answered your question or not, but I certainly believe.
I think that you did, and I believe that this is good dialogue. These are kind of the sessions that I have. I don't know what anybody else talks about when they go to therapy, but this is what I talk about when I go to therapy. And I say to my therapist, I'm tired. She says, how are you? Where are you today? And I said, how about I'm tired? And I said, because I'm tired of people when they see me, can I assist you? Absolutely. And then and this is probably my most favorite story, is went to an event with some very powerful people, movers, shakers, they names on side of buildings. And they listened to this whole spiel about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then, how, if I'm an architect, how I can make changes. And we went through a building that, regardless of your ability or disability, you could enjoy this facility.
Mm-hmm.
And they got it. Oh, yes, I'm so enlightened. And then, here our paratransit system is called the Go Bus. And so, as others that were a part of this discussion that had disabilities, when they got ready to, so mind you, it was like, oh, yes, Dr. Barrington, oh my gosh, you're just wonderful, blah, blah, blah. And as soon as we got ready to leave, they said, can we assist you out? Oh, absolutely, you may. And they said, which Go Bus is yours?
Which Go Bus? Gold Bus?
Yeah, that's the bus that the handicapped people get on, that they take them where
Oh,
they
oh, okay. Okay. Not that you may have driven yourself.
bingo. So I said, I don't have a bus. Oh, you didn't order a bus? So do we need to call and order you a bus? How long
Right.
did it take? I said, no. I said, I'm down there. Well, where? Oh, you have a van, a handicap van? I did just like this. I'm down there. I'll tell you when you get close to where I am. And so that we wheel up. Well, all we see is a Range Rover, this white Range Rover. Who? Somebody drove you? They waiting for you? I said, no, that's my car. And it was like,
Exactly.
did y'all hear what I said? They're like, beep, beep, beep. And are you serious? Now, we just had this conversation in here. You were just all happy and excited. And to me, it's no different than to say, I'm not a racist, I'm not prejudiced, but then your white son brings home a black girl or a Latino or an Indian or an Asian, and you're sitting here and you drop your fork like, oh, the proof is in the pudding. And so I think in that day, in that moment, I was just like, are you serious? And even where I live, there's, and I love everybody here. But the first neighbor that came out, oh, she's looking in the driveway, looking at the cars. What do you do? How did you get here? What does that mean? I said, we came down the street and yeah, we turned in here. What do you mean by that? And so my parents said, well, what does that mean to you? I said, I'm tired. Because why do I have to explain or justify? You know, because now we have a few things going on. Is it because the color of my skin? Is it because I'm female? Or is it because I'm in this wheelchair that you're looking at me this way?
All of it. It's all of it.
You,
It's
you,
all of it.
you
You
see what I'm
know,
saying?
we,
It's like,
we
wait a minute, you guys have how
intersect.
many cars? And that one looks like, we have an MG. They're like, do you know that that's a European car? And yeah, James Bond drove that, and you have one in yes. And your point being, at what point do we have to stop justifying who we are, why we have what we have, and be able to enjoy and just say, hey, how's it going today? Hey, hi, my name is Donna. I'm not Donna the black woman. I'm not Donna the lady with the one leg. I'm just Donna. I'm living life. This is where I work. This is what I do. And hey, you want to go hang out today?
Well, the more, I always believe we have to flood the system with us. And that's why, again, Divas with Disabilities does just that. I mean, that's the mission. It wants to get people to understand that people, women, Black and brown women, Black indigenous women, women of color, girls with visible disabilities, as you say, can show up looking like a diva if they choose to,
Mm-hmm.
because diva and disability can coexist in a single person. We want to debunk the theory of what you look
I would have
like.
to say,
It's
yeah.
all about lookism. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's about lookism. So the more we show up in our own boldness and not kind of conform or debunk, like I said, the stereotypes, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where I think that's my personal vision, that change will occur. The more you turn on television, perhaps, and you see images like yourself, like myself, and others, that's when it changes. We have to show that we are part of the community. The more we stay outside the community, the more the community will not embrace us. They don't know you, they don't see you. So when you show up, it's like, oh my God, you drive a Range Rover? I mean, I still to this day pull up in a handicapped parking space and people will pause to admonish me because I don't look handicapped, first of all, like that's their term. And you're parking in the space and you're driving a convertible. How dare you? How dare you?
Oh my God. Yeah. See what I'm saying?
How dare you? And that's because the imagery, is very impactful. You got a wheelchair symbol on the ground, and people have been pretty much inculcated with that visual of a wheelchair. So you see wheelchair and you see Donna showing up fly, cool. It's like, don't compute, don't compute. It does not compute.
Well, I think my favorite thing is, oh my goodness. And I said, hey, they're like, you are so beautiful to be in a wheelchair.
Right.
And I said, so
Yeah.
what does that mean? I said, and you're so ugly to be walking around. And what's your point? So, but I can't say that because that would be rude, you know. So then it does open up the conversation. And I do believe in using every opportunity as a teaching moment and perhaps to change what it is that you believe about how I should look. And so, people will say, well, you look like a diva. Am I not supposed to look like a diva? Well, most people I know, when something's wrong with them, I said, child, for me, my motto has always been no matter how I feel, I get up, I dress up, and I'm going to show up and I'm going to never give up because somebody needs my story. And I believe that what you see initially, because we are visual people,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
that when you see me, it will give you another way to look. And so maybe, so now what happens is that, hey, why are you dressed like that? You know this chick that's in this wheelchair, she's always got on purple and she's so cool. And I mean, she is always dressed and got the nerve to have on 6-inch heels in a wheelchair. I said, absolutely. I said, absolutely.
Well, there are no limitations, and I think that's why we have to show that. And again, I don't really have to. I don't feel like explaining it all the time, And I really I mean, I do love compliments, and I do. It feels good when we're complimented, but I sometimes feel a little uncomfortable when I show up in a space and people are just complimenting me like crazy. I mean,
Like,
it's like, okay, it's okay. Why can't? Okay, it's just clothes.
and that's it.
It's just clothes, and this is my style. So
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a diva. I'm not trying to be fashionable. I'm showing up the way I am. I am. this this is who I am. I'm not faking it. I'm not trying to live outside of the zone, or and try to get your attention, and like, no. But I'm really, what I'm trying to show you is there is diversity in individuality, and if a person just happens to have one leg but they can still be fashionable, that's all good. It's just there's no paradigm for that, and I'm trying to flip that. I'm hoping that I will be able to, in the work that I do, will be able to flip those paradigms, and that's where I am right there today.
Well, it is 4:47, and I want to say thank you
You're welcome.
so much. And that is really a great way to put a comma in this show with you and I together, because it definitely is not a period. I know that you'll be back. I know that we'll have more conversations. And
Yeah, we didn't even talk about my book. We had the whole book to talk about.
Oh my gosh, we got into this whole piece. So we definitely, you know what? You can actually come tomorrow if you would like to come tomorrow, and we can talk about your book tomorrow if you would like to. But you've been so busy. I don't know if I can get you 2 days in a row.
Yeah, well, we could definitely tell people how to pick up the book, though. You can visit my website if you want to share. I can share, but I turn the mic to you.
But absolutely, thank you so much, Beth, with Deaf and Hard of Hearing, for being with us on today. We are so grateful, and I love her and I appreciate her. We've been together almost a whole year now. And thank you so much to 100 Shades of Disabilities, who does sponsor the show. And Dr. Donna, oh my goodness, I think that you really left us with a lot to think about. And even those of us that have this lived experience, there's a challenge there that I feel on so many different levels, but definitely the one challenge that I do love and appreciate is it's not always my responsibility, that I can just sometimes show up as Kim. I don't have to be Kim the advocate. I don't have to be Kim the disabled girl or Kim the Black girl, but Kim can just show up and just be there, and it's okay that I don't have to do anything in particular, But if somebody pulls on it, not oil's gonna come on out, if you pull on it. But I don't have to spread the oil. I can just come in and try to be as incognito as possible. And I think that was a great takeaway, for me. So for those of you who are an influencer, if you are an influencer, there is a space for you to be able to just rest sometimes. And I do apologize. I mean, it was on the flyer to talk about shattered dreams and broken pieces, but I think that God knows, and He knows best what we really needed to talk about, because I think the conversation was very loaded, it was very guided, and it was awesome. You can pick the book up on her website, www.donnawalton.com. It is also on Amazon. It's in Kindle. So for me, it's easier just to have things running through my hearing aids. I love to listen. And so if you need Kindle like I do to have it read to you, it is available. And the price is?
Oh, on Amazon, I think it's $22.
$22. It's $22 on Amazon.
But if you come to my website, you get it for $13 and you get it signed. So I suggest you come to my website.
Okay, I'm getting ready to come to the website, and I am going to look in the comments today. And the first 5 people that I see on there, I'm gonna buy you a book. I'm gonna go to her website. I'm gonna buy 5 books, and that way you get them signed. So I'll have your name, and then she'll just ship them out to you. How about that? Will that work?
I think that's fantastic.
And this is how we do this. This is how divas do. We support one another. Absolutely. So I will be buying 5 books. Actually, I'll buy 5 books today. And that doesn't even include my own book. So that'll be 6. Is that a good number? I like 6 a good even number. No, how about 10 books?
I think it's a fabulous number.
How about I'm gonna buy 10 books.
Okay.
One of them belongs to me.
Okay.
And then I will give 9 other books. I'm gonna go back through, see who watched yesterday's show, and especially those I see that tune in on a regular basis. I want to say thank you, and I think that this is an awesome book for you to read, and because I think a lot of people feel like all their dreams have been shattered right now, and that they have some broken pieces that they need to be picked back up. But I think we are both living witnesses that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I've enjoyed it. I mean, this couldn't have been more valuable for me, and I really enjoyed knowing you. And I know that this is just the beginning, as you said. This is just the beginning of our connection. We have lots of work to do.
Absolutely. So again, I am going to, as soon as I get off, I'm going to see who was watching the show live and pick a couple other people. So 9 people will be getting her book on today.
Sounds fabulous.
And it'll be signed to you. So isn't that awesome?
That's right. Personalized.
Absolutely. So thank you so much. And we will see you on tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Dr. Kimberly and Dave with Rolling on the Road. Who knows where we'll be on tomorrow, right?
Right.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Absolutely. Take